Hello, everybody. Um, we're here with LP Texas and LP Minnesota. Is that how do y'all refer to yourselves?
Yeah, LP Minnesota, Libertarian Party of Minnesota.
LPMN.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, who are we getting the echo from?
Oh, that could be
Hopefully
me.
not
If I
me.
got my volume loud.
Oh, that's
Might be me.
Joey.
Oh, it's
Really?
Joey.
Echo from me? I don't know what to do about it. I'm wearing a headset.
Oh, no, that's actually probably me. I'm listening to ourselves. There we go.
We better.
No, yeah. Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay, no echo. Okay, that's what I get for monitoring my own stream. So sorry about that.
Why am I hearing myself talk?
Oh God, I hate hearing myself talk. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, no, it's not enjoyable for me either.
All right, so we start a little early beforehand. We're discussing the press conference this morning. Um, it was very interesting. It's very sad to hear these testimonies, but what did y'all think?
So I thought it was really interesting. I don't think Rebecca or Joey caught the conference. I thought it was one of the things that I thought was extremely interesting was Marjorie Taylor Greene's opening remarks when she said that she has seen evidence that foreign governments were involved in the Epstein scandal. And I forget every country she mentioned, but I definitely remembered that she said Israel. So kind of waiting to see where that will go, if anywhere, and whether or not that connection is what we think it is. So we'll see. But I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it's been really interesting seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene sort of flip on MAGA, and Lauren Boebert is one of the ones supporting this petition as well and flipping on MAGA. The
Yeah, I think
It's almost like you can't run a populist movement off of an anti-populist platform.
yeah. Well, it's funny to me that all of this shattering and fracturing that's occurring within MAGA, it's all because of Epstein. Is kind of what it seems like. Like the core of it started, like the fissures formed because of Epstein, and it was because of Donald Trump's own mishandling of Epstein. So it's really Donald Trump's own fault that his own movement is falling apart, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has an ego, and one might call him a narcissist, and he thinks he can do no wrong. So,
It's part of the course for DC, I guess.
yeah, I mean, there we've not, I don't know. The It'll be interesting come midterms, especially with all the redistricting.
Mm. Yeah, you had mentioned that actually the Democrats in Texas had tied the Epstein files to redistricting.
So one of the Democrat representatives in the Texas House had made an amendment. It didn't pass, but they proposed amendment to attach the redistricting to the release of the Epstein files. So the Epstein files would have to be released in order for the redistricting to happen. I mean,
Well, that's cute.
It's completely performative. They had
Uh-huh.
no way
That
they
was
were going to pass that. But it was definitely interesting to hear about. But
Yeah, and then at one point, so the press conference went where Ro Khanna spoke first, and then Thomas Massie, and then I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then there was a lawyer there who had represented. It sounds like very many of the victims of Epstein, and then there were several victims there as well. One of the things that we just mentioned before we went live was one of the victims claims that when she was with Epstein, that Epstein would constantly brag about like, oh, I'm really good friends with this famous person, and I know that person. very just braggadocious about how well connected he is, and allegedly, according to this victim, Epstein loved to claim most about how big of friends he was with Donald Trump, going so far as to say that he had like an 8 by 10 inch framed photo on his desk of Donald Trump or something like that. Obviously, there's not really any evidence to support that, but why would you be surprised? There's all kinds of photos out there with Donald Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein as well. So,
isn't that a very Trumpian thing to say? Like when Trump was asked what his favorite part of the Bible was, he's like, all of it. God, come on. No, you don't have an 8-inch framed photo of Trump on your desk. That's not a real thing.
No. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Epstein, yeah. Like it's Epstein behaviorally mimicking Trump in that moment, saying that something like that.
Well, isn't that also telling then that they're kind of both the same person?
I mean, you do have to have a very, very corrupted morals to do something like what Epstein did, right? I mean, those are the awful things that he did. So it wouldn't surprise me to have him as well be, narcissistic and maybe even be a sociopath. So, but I'm not a licensed practitioner of psychology, so I cannot make that diagnosis. But when you see evil, you know it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see a comment in the chat from a John Wilford who says, I need to know more about what we think it is. I think that's referring to my comment about foreign governments. It seems to me that the whole Epstein thing was an intelligence operation. Epstein at least had what's the word I'm looking for? Tangential. He had some sort of connections to intelligence agencies. I don't know if it's ever been like completely confirmed that he was involved or was an asset of some kind. But it would not surprise me in the least if he was a CIA asset or a Mossad asset. Mossad being the Israeli intelligence agency. So we'll see. MTG kind of alluded to that fact. And then Thomas Massie himself said that the perpetrators of these crimes were very rich and powerful and were political donors to the establishment class of DC. So that's what I think it is an intelligence operation.
I mean, it could be both. It could be
simply,
a man doing evil things, and then when discovered, they turned and used it. They made him an asset. I mean, we see that all the time with, the FBI, the CIA. It's not a stretch that it could have happened with Mossad or the CIA.
Yeah.
I mean, we do know these are confirmed, news articles where the CIA agents have been found to have, committed similar acts, and they refused to prosecute them because they were afraid what they might reveal during testimony, revealing, top secret information if prosecuted. I mean, if somebody's going to reveal that kind of information, you really want them in the CIA anyway, but they're there, and it's not a stretch that they're connected somehow.
Yeah, I mean, this might be slightly off topic, but I hate bringing this one up, and I'll try to censor my language. Are you familiar with the Finders Group?
No, I'm not.
So, I'm gonna try to make this YouTube friendly.
Neither am I.
It's not a YouTube friendly topic because it's something that the government was engaged in that was quite evil. But if you go on Google and you look up the Finders Group, CIA, you can actually find documents on the FBI's website. It's the FBI Vault has released these documents where in the 70s, there was a subsection of the CIA that had gone rogue. So that, I'm not saying this is a sanctioned CIA operation, but there were individuals within the CIA in the 70s who engaged in the practice of kidnapping children, assaulting them, and in some cases ending their lives. And this was discovered by the FBI. And what the FBI did when they discovered this was that they actually just covered it up. And so you can actually go read the documents of how this unfolded on the FBI's own website, where they go through, step by step. These are the people we caught doing this. This is when we caught them. It was actually the FBI was engaged in a sting operation trying to catch somebody else, and they end up discovering what these CIA employees were up to. So it should not be a shock to anybody that the CIA and the FBI both engage in extremely evil and dark activities behind the scenes that most people have no idea that that it's even possible for somebody to be that evil. So it's not a stretch to me at all that intelligence agencies once again would be engaged in the practice of assaulting children. It just doesn't surprise me one bit. So that's the YouTube friendly version of you're welcome to go find and read those documents. It's quite bad.
Yeah, I pulled up the FBI records, the vault, right now, and they've got a multi-part series, and each document is several hundred pages in length.
Yes.
With I'm not going to say mountains of black ink on it, because they use a rectangle that has a black outline and a white fill, so it's mountains of white ink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even on Wikipedia.
All of that is just absolutely horrifying on where, the history of our intelligence. I don't know why anybody would assume that just because we have a new situation that people within it are going to act in a superiorly moral manner. You know what I mean?
Well,
if they have this long of a history.
Yeah, well, especially considering the fact that the people who did that back then, there was no accountability.
Yeah, they weren't punished.
Well, and that's
sidelined, but they were allowed to keep their careers and get their retirement bonuses, and they probably trained people who are in charge right now.
Yeah.
Right, they're never punished. We have a history of no accountability whatsoever from top to bottom of our government. They live by a completely different set of rules.
We have a commenter saying hello from Oregon, and speaking of Oregon and government agents getting away with evil. We lost Joey, or no, we lost
Rebecca.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be back. It's okay.
Okay, so one of the things that recently happened is that Kash Patel and the FBI awarded medals of bravery to FBI agents that were involved in the murder of Lavoy. Let me look it up. Lavoy Finicum in the it was the Bundy Ranch siege. Y'all remember that?
Which one was
yeah.
There's been multiple.
Yeah, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Bundy standoff in 2014 in Nevada. Yes, I do recall this. Yep.
So Lavoy Finicum was in Oregon, supposedly, driving to this the standoff, and or one of these standoffs, and the FBI basically pulled him over. Oh, she's back. I will go ahead and re-add her. They basically blocked off the road and started shooting at his truck, and he came out with his hands up, and they shot and killed him while his hands were up. And there are eyewitnesses and helicopter footage of this, and they've basically covered it up. They investigated themselves and found them guilty of, or found no wrongdoing.
Of course.
And now they're, Kash Patel has awarded these I say the term loosely, people, medals of bravery for shooting and killing this guy in cold blood.
Man, I'm so disappointed with Kash Patel. I remember listening to him do the podcast circuit in 2023, and he seemed to be saying all the right things, And then when I heard that he was actually going to be added to the Trump administration, I was like, okay, well, this is one of the appointments that I actually don't hate. And then now he's just as spineless as every other FBI director.
Yeah, wasn't he calling for the abolishment of the FBI?
Yeah. When he was put in charge of both the FBI and the ATF, people were saying, well, these two agencies, one of them is going to get folded into the other one. We're not going to still have both of them. Well, we still have both of them, and they're just as awful as they've been the whole time.
Right.
Oh, there goes Rebecca again. I think her network went down.
Gotta love rural internet, right?
Yeah, for those who don't know, she's like in the middle of nowhere, doing the whole homesteading thing. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's pretty great. So, but it's just, it's so funny to me. Like when I first talked about the finders with like my core friend group, they were shocked. They were like, no, I can't believe this. In fact, one of my friends was like, oh, that's so evil and heinous. Like, I just can't believe that. Don't you think maybe they just put that out as a fake story to try to make people think that I'm like, why would they do that though? Why would they want to make you think that they're evil? So,
whereas if I had heard about that before today, like if high school era me had heard about that, I would have gone, what, you mean the same FBI that either assassinated or covered up the assassination of MLK Jr.? Yeah, I totally believe they'd cover up CIA abuse of children. Totally.
Yep. Yeah.
Wasn't there at one point a news report that there were two NYPD officers that were involved in the assassination that were going to come forward, and then suddenly that just dropped off the radar? Y'all remember that?
I don't think that one even made it to my ears before it disappeared.
It's wild how and there's plethora of confirmed things that the government has done that are so awful and undeniable, and you put this evidence in front of people and they just, look, that can never happen again. We know about this. If they were doing that, we'd know about it now.
Yeah, our federal government would never experiment on people, do medical experiments, and give people infectious diseases without their consent or knowledge. Oh, wait, that's happened on at least three separate occasions. There's no reason to believe they wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, we don't have to blackpill the whole time. I think it's good to talk about, it's good that I think the Epstein case has really woken everybody up. Especially, as I run the LPMN X account, I'm witnessing even just like every Republican voter come out of the woodworks and say, no, we want answers. This is not acceptable. Turning on Donald Trump, saying this is not what we voted for. I don't think you can put this. I don't think it goes away. I don't see how it can.
I mean, I'm seeing especially in Facebook, there are a lot of MAGA, hardcore MAGA members that are, doing mental gymnastics to try to explain it away, or, it's a hoax. They believe Trump. It's kind of scary how, these people will just believe anything he says.
Yeah.
So when Trump said that Epstein stuff was awful and it was Biden's fault for not releasing the details, then Trump was right. But now when Trump is saying that the Epstein stuff is all fake and the Democrats invented it to make him look bad, that's also correct somehow?
I don't.
Yeah, because he got in and now he knows all the information, Joey. Now it's ridiculous. Oh boy. But yeah, no, you're right. I do see a lot of that cult-like adherence to whatever Trump says, but I do also see most people waking up. I think Trump will always have a cult, but it seems to be shrinking.
And on the other side, the Democrats are just, now that Trump's in office, and they're full-heartedly, accepting that, the Epstein files exist and that all these people did horrible things. But during the Biden administration, it was like, stop talking about that. That's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do about that either. I mean, obviously, it just means that both sides are lying, but it's hard to know when were they lying. or are they just always lying? They're probably just always
They're
lying.
just always lying. Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll say whatever reinforces their narrative. If it happens to be the truth, it's coincidence, not intentionality.
Yes, and if they have a little bit of truth in there, it helps their lie, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The best lies include truth. So we got 9 more minutes till this starts.
Yeah. Back to the press conference. It was interesting to me. There was one reporter that got kicked out of the event because he was harassing the victims, demanding that they answer a question, because I think he worked for Alan Dershowitz is what I kind of got from the conversation, the back and forth and the yelling.
Mhm.
Sounded like he worked for Alan Dershowitz and was just there to sow doubt. And so he got kicked out of the event because they refused to ask his question, and then he just kept speaking, and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to answer my question? Oh, that's kind of weird." So they're like, "All right, bye." So I thought that was very interesting. Like, why would they have an actor there to try to stir up dissent if it also wasn't true?
Well, and that was something Massie said. He said that there are 3 billionaires in, it was Tennessee, right? That's a state. What's a state?
Kentucky?
Kentucky. No, that's Rand Paul.
I thought they were both Kentucky.
Yeah, they are. They're both in there. I just, wish that Massie would move to Texas and run libertarian, but but he was saying that like 3 billionaires are after him, trying to get him, his seat, steal his seat to give it to somebody else, and one of them is on the list. I thought that was pretty damning.
Yeah.
There we go. Libertarian Tennessee.
Yeah, Trump's a billionaire. Trump's going after him. So that one of those 3, it could be Trump. I don't know.
He said 3 in Kentucky alone.
Oh, 3 in Kentucky alone. Okay, Trump's obviously not in Kentucky. Okay.
And it sounds like they're pouring money. I mean, that's what Republicans do when you don't, and Democrats do if you don't follow their marching orders. Justin Amash had some interesting commentary on his freshman year as a congressman and how they march him in there and do orientation. And if you don't follow their orders, they primary you. They pour money into your opponent who they think they can control. So, yeah, I definitely see that happening. And if Massie gets out, maybe he'll join Justin Amash and well, I don't know. Is Justin Amash still libertarian?
I mean,
kind of.
Big L, small L. What do you mean?
Well, he ran recently. Was it under the Libertarian banner or was it underneath the party banner?
Yeah, well, what I think happened, and I could be completely wrong because, to be honest, I just don't follow Justin Amash. But what I think happened is that he was elected Republican, flipped to Libertarian while he was still elected, ran as a Libertarian and lost.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
Well, I
remember people complaining about him not running to keep his seat.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah, he did not. They were going to get rid of him because he wouldn't vote the way they wanted.
Gotcha.
So there was I think it was the Liberty Caucus within the Republican Party. Justin Amash, Rand Paul, and Thomas Massie were members. I don't know if there's any others, but those are the most famous.
Prominent. Yeah.
And then when Justin Amash realized he wasn't going to be reelected, he flipped his his little letter next to his name. I always find those funny when they come up on the news, R or D. But he flipped it L, and then he didn't run again. But we didn't have someone elected to Congress, but we've had someone in Congress now.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's better than nothing. Excuse me. Hey,
okay, sorry. I live rural, so I can't tell you what happened.
Oh, hey, you have a camera now.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we were just talking about how Billionaires in Kentucky are going after Massie, trying to kick him out of his seat. And apparently Massie has claimed that one of those billionaires is involved in the Epstein case.
Yeah.
So
Colored me shocked.
yeah,
I know Wikipedia is the font of all knowledge and has never been wrong about anything ever. But right now, I looked up list of U.S. states by number of billionaires. Kentucky allegedly only has one billionaire. I don't know when this data is from. 2024. I don't know where this data is from. How about that? I don't know where this data is from.
well, it's probably like how people say Elon Musk is the richest person on the planet, but he's actually not. He's just the richest public person on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put up one of those Saudi princes, and you could probably put quite a few of the billionaires in the U.S. together, and they don't.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I have a 1/6 claim to all the wealth in the entire Saudi kingdom. I think that makes me a little bit better than some tech guy with a couple $100 billion.
Right.
Right.
So it could be something like that, or I don't know. Oh, we are past time. You might want to refresh.
Oh, it stopped updating apparently.
All right.
Stock by the USDA targeting transgenic plant vaccine TNSF and censorship, the censorship industrial complex of which the NSF is part of. Most Democrats are just fine with this kind of totalitarian state that the bureaucrats are pushing on us. But Republicans at least pretend to be against these things. But what are we going to do this September? We're going to fund every freaking one of those things that we have exposed. It sets up a fake fight that we all know here is fake. Somebody come down here and tell me it's not fake. You all know it's fake. The compromise has already been reached in a smoke-filled back room here. But that's what it is political theater, folks. We all know where it ends up. We've seen it. I've been here 12 years. I've seen it 12 times. I refuse to be a thespian in this failure theater.
That's what it is.
Can we be honest with the American people about what's going on here? This is political theater.
Definitely, it's all political theater.
Sort of in I would say, a different category. The president's consultants have spent $1.8 million against me. And Trump called me 3 times on the floor of the House. I'm coming at you like you've never seen. Never in your life before. Have you seen the way in which I will come at you? I'm more popular than you in Kentucky, and you know it. And you're gonna lose.
Massie's got a career opportunity there if he doesn't get reelected.
It's all posturing, it's fake fighting. We all know where it ends up. This is Groundhog Day. I don't care if the Democrat is the speaker or Republican is the speaker. It's good theater. We've got great writers. I wish they'd just come up with a new plot. I got in my car and I drove 8 hours. And they're like, shit, Massie's gonna do it. They went to the parliamentarian and they're like, is there any way around this? And he's like, nope, Massie's right. The Constitution requires a quorum. Mr. Speaker, I came here to make sure our republic doesn't die by unanimous consent in an empty chamber, and I request a recorded vote. The truth, if you're willing to report it, is they don't want a recorded vote. They don't want to be on record of making the biggest mistake in history. This is the second time you've done something like this. And they talked me out of it before, but not this time. And then he said he thought it was the second time. I'd done that like 8 times since he was president. He just started realizing it's the same guy. Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk to change the title of the bill to a bill to kick the can down the road and for other purposes.
This bill is just the first step, a down payment.
Why do we always spend at least as much as we did last year, and why do we never cut spending? This bill is a debt bomb ticking. We're not rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic tonight. We're putting coal in the boiler and setting a course for the iceberg. If something is beautiful, you don't do it after midnight.
I think the Federal Reserve absolutely needs to be audited. They've really exceeded any kind of constitutional authority that they should be given.
It is poison. When you print money, it is poison to our economy. The principle is called dilution. And when you print $5 trillion and you put it into the economy,
You have diluted the value of the money. The principle is so simple that a child can understand.
His third tweet was, "He's terrible on guns." It's like, what? Where did that come
Terrible
from?
on guns?
Have you seen my
Seriously?
Christmas card picture? Right.
Yeah, he's
Take the
obviously the best.
firearms first and then go to court.
There we
I
go.
like taking the guns early.
My question is this receiver legal or not? Because your bill is ambiguous. The people who own guns, which is the majority of Americans, are starting to see through this.
We're knocking out bump stocks. I've told the NRA, I've told it, bump stock's a gun.
What he's showing us here
It's
is
so
not
funny
a
telling
bump
the
stock.
Republicans
Would the
about
Democrats
this.
be
They don't
amenable
believe you.
if and when
You
they
said-
find out that that's not a bump stock? Like if they could use Wikipedia or a picture, would anybody over there be amenable if they found out, and you will eventually, the internet's going to help you here in about 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll bring it down a notch. All right.
5 minutes.
Okay, I'll bring it down a notch. All right, folks. Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal the
I
federal-
worked in
I'm
the
not
school
talking to
for
you anymore.
20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a
I got a
teacher. I was
solution.
spinning the
We've got guns here to protect us.
Why?
I believe the kids should have somebody to protect them.
That was like Jamal
I'd
Bowman.
like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem.
We are going to the Capitol. It's that direction. We are going to the Capitol. That's where our problem. We are going to the Capitol. Where our problems are. It's that direction. We are going to the Capitol. The Capitol's in that direction. Let people know. Spread the word.
How many agents or assets of the federal government were present on January 6th, whether they agitated to go into the Capitol, and if any of them did?
We need to go into the Capitol. What?
The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy.
You're sending grandmas to prison. You're putting people away for 20 years for merely filming. Some people weren't even there yet. You got the guy on video who's saying go into the Capitol. He's directing people to the Capitol before the speech ends. He's at the site of the first breach. And
he
it's
get
an
arrested?
indictment for a misdemeanor?
No.
The American public isn't buying it.
He was on the
I think he
FBI's
worked
most
for it.
wanted list for just under
Isn't it true
24
you
hours.
have a science degree from
Then they took
Yale?
him off.
Well, it's
Yeah.
liberal
Of course
arts
they did.
education
Yep,
and degree.
he's an
It's a
informant,
bachelor.
obviously.
Okay, so
I
it's
don't
not
think
really
that's
science. So I think it's somewhat appropriate that somebody with a pseudoscience degree is here pushing pseudoscience.
Today, our nation has achieved a medical miracle. I am thrilled to report that the FDA has authorized the Pfizer vaccine.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business, but I'm going to tell you. I'm not vaccinated, and until there's some science, by the way, I have a master's of science degree from MIT. I'm not a virologist, but I can read data.
Operation Warp Speed was considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country.
Can you tell me if anybody's been granted a religious exemption?
I don't know.
So I believe that it's fraud. In fact, fraud to tell people that you're going to preserve their constitutional religious accommodations by telling they can apply for an exemption and then not allowing any of those exemptions. And I would hope that we've learned something from the COVID experience, that some of our science projects.
You mind if we pause here and just talk a little bit about it?
Oh, absolutely. I think we should.
That was a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to talk over it, but I don't know that that's working so much.
No.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, bringing this back up is that the vaccines were brought in during the Trump administration, and Operation Warp Speed was under Trump, started by Trump and continued by Biden.
I like the little accidental Easter egg in the captions. It said the Pfizer vaccine, like FISA.
Nice. It's so wild that how much like the MAGA group are like anti-vaccine and blaming Biden for that, and just completely forgetting that Trump pushed that through.
Well, the Biden administration did the mandated vaccines to be able to work for businesses over 100, but it was the Trump administration that started the whole process. And vaccines aren't supposed to hit, the public market for. It's usually like 10 plus years because of like trials and all of this, so, and that's what he's talking about is like the data. There was no, because they just pushed it through. They're like, oh, now we have a recipe, and without even testing the recipe, we're just going to like make it publicly available to everybody and sell it as it was complete fraud.
Yeah, you can't publish the results of a multi-year efficacy study when the chemical has not existed for more than 9 months.
Well, and it's not just the chemical, because this wasn't just a new vaccine. This was a new type of vaccine. Like they hadn't made vaccines like this that were supposed to manipulate DNA. This isn't what the flu shot does. This isn't what MMR does. This was completely different science.
Right.
Well, did you guys see Trump's recent remarks about warp speed?
No. So
I'll read this off. So he posted this a couple days ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago at the most. It's a little long. It's about a paragraph, but I'll read it quickly. It says, it is very important that the drug companies justify the success of their various COVID drugs. Many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree. With CDC being ripped apart over this question, I want the answer, and I want it now. I have been shown information from Pfizer and others that is extraordinary, but they never seem to show those results to the public. Why not? They go off to the next hunt and let everyone rip themselves apart, including Bobby Kennedy Jr. and CDC, trying to figure out the success or failure of the drug company's COVID work. They show me great numbers and results, but they don't seem to be showing them to many others. I want them to show them now to CDC and the public and clear up this mess one way or the other. I hope Operation Warp Speed was as brilliant as many say it was. If not, we all want to know about it and why. Thank you for your attention to this very important matter.
So we all know that calling it brilliant and calling Operation Warp Speed successful and saying it was a miracle, those are all direct quotes from himself years ago.
Right. What I find interesting, though, is that he is softening on the issue.
Yes, he is now mealy mouth waffling instead of blatantly endorsing it.
Yes, and I think it's because of, for the same reasons that I think Epstein is now, like, there's this pressure swell building, beneath it that I don't think you could stop. His own base is fed up with it, and so like he's now realizing he's like, oh, I'm doing damage to myself by saying the things that I'm saying.
Which is remarkable because people were telling him that about the COVID stuff in 2022.
Well, I never said he was smart.
I mean, ultimately, though, he doesn't have, there's no chance, there's absolutely no possibility of re-election for him whatsoever after this, right? So, like, he would be reacting to this very differently if this was his first term versus the second term. And so, if he, so we just, in Minnesota, we just went through 2 weeks of state fair, which is just like this nonstop, like, you're talking to everybody, that just comes up to your booth, and so there's this constant flow of conversation and information, right? And to put that into like numbers, what was it, 40,000 people per day like attended this state fair? It was something like that. So
yeah, it was just under 2.1 million spread across the entire fair. Or no, I'm sorry, that's our record number is 2.15. It's, I don't know, it was a lot. It was a boatload of people.
Right. So what I mean is like there's a lot of people that are just so mad at Trump, and like his base is crumbling. The support that he had before isn't what it is like right now. And I mean, a lot of it goes back to this, this Epstein stuff and to like the COVID things. But, like if anybody had been paying attention, or I mean, and where people were, I don't know, maybe it was just like they were so afraid of the Democrats, they were just willing to like throw everything into Trump, which is I don't know, also kind of gross. But
1.94. I'm sorry, I have to fact check myself. 1.94 million across 12 days.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. So, but there's people, a large subset of people, and we're in Minnesota, which is a deeply entrenched blue state, right? So like nobody's afraid of saying how they really feel about Trump, but he doesn't have the support that he does. The people who though are like his deep followers, you know, like they're going to do whatever he tells them to do, no matter what it is. They're all openly talking about subverting the Constitution and going into a third term with him. And
one of the questions from chat is, what do we feel about people wearing masks outside? And can you believe that's still going on? I mean, if it kind of goes into the neighborhood of like, to answer that question, it goes in the neighborhood of, you know, people being alone in a car and wearing a mask. But you know, there are reasons for wearing masks out in public if you've got like a pollen allergy or something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
I ran into somebody at the fair who was wearing a mask, and they said, "Oh, well, I'm sick, but not sick enough that I got to stay home, so here I am."
yeah, and you know, there are things that can help with that. It isn't COVID. We know that the masks didn't really work with COVID itself, but there are other things that can help with. So
up here we have a lot of forest fire smoke. You know.
Yeah. So, but I guess my perspective on the masks is, you know, I see the people that wear that. I shake my head. I'm like, that's just dumb. But at the end of the day, they're not the government. I don't care.
Yeah, and at this point, it's definitely their own choice.
I'd rather them be wearing the masks than be forcing everybody around them to take the vaccine.
Sure.
Yeah, if we have to pick.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's their body, their choice, right?
Yeah.
They want to wear a mask. They want to get a vaccine.
Right.
All right. So I was going to go ahead and start again, so we can move on.
Aren't the best ideas.
I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. I got my booster shot as soon as they were available. And just the other day, former President Trump announced he had gotten his booster shot.
Probably sailing, to be honest.
Maybe one of the few things he and I agree on.
This truth was toxic to a narrative that Pfizer was spreading, that Joe Biden wanted out there so that he could force the vaccine on everybody, whether you had natural immunity or not. I don't think the press gets special privileges on the First Amendment. I don't think Congress does. I think every American, by virtue of being an American, has the right to free speech enshrined in the Constitution. They are at the same time denying that censorship is occurring, but suggesting that there's more material that needs to be censored.
So when I go to DC and they threaten me or try to bribe me, it's like, I know once Friday comes, I'm going to be back on my farm and I don't need them.
Pride in America is looked down upon right now. It's out of fashion. But pride in Israel is something we have to vote on 2 or 3 times a week now in Congress. AIPAC is very persuasive. For instance, the Israeli lobby in Congress, if you look at my colleagues' feeds now, they all look the same.
Everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter. And when
Ted Cruz on July 4th decided that it was most important for him on America's Independence Day to praise Israel than it was to praise the United States. I just want to put that out there.
Did you see the interview with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz?
Oh yeah,
he got mad. Ted Cruz lost it. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And then all the hacks afterward trying to defend Ted's reaction and Ted's statements is like, no.
Yeah,
that guy Ted Cruz ran for president against, in the primaries against Trump. And he had some, he had a lot of people behind him. And I remember back, because this was still like when the Trump kind of, hysteria was still kind of in its infancy. And that was about the time that I realized that Trump supporters were just straight up rabid in the way that they responded to Trump and to people who were like, I don't know about Trump, and they just reacted in a rabid way. But Ted Cruz at that time, he was one of the forerunners, wasn't he? Against, Can you imagine how different it would have been?
Until Trump gave him the nickname Lion Ted, and then suddenly his poll numbers fell.
But to your point, Rebecca, I'm sure if Ted Cruz had become president, Palestine would have been flattened by now, for sure. Like completely.
It's so sick. The people that are hiding behind religion and just killing people indiscriminately and claiming it's part of their faith. That is so gross.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things about Texas at the GOP convention for Texas in, what was it, 2016, is that people had never Trump shirts, right? Texas was against Trump. Texas was for Cruz, and it was very prevalent. And if you were to wear that same shirt in 2018 to the convention, the midterm convention, it would be something that people would break out into a fight over. It just completely shifted the entire party in the course of 2 years. It was insane.
Yeah.
And,
I would say the same thing happened in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because now it's MAGA that's taken over the GOP in Minnesota, and to break free of that is, you do it at the risk of your own reputation.
But
if you're GOP to begin with.
What I will say, though, is that in Minnesota, whether the GOP is MAGA or not, I don't notice a difference in how they actually operate or do anything. Right. Particularly when it comes to Tom Emmer, who takes every opportunity he can get to try and squash the grassroots in the GOP, who are more libertarian, far more libertarian than the folks at the top in the Minnesota GOP. So Tom Emmer is like just a really nasty dude. And for some reason, Donald Trump thinks that he's good and props him up. And so Donald Trump's continued persistence in propping up Tom Emmer actually screws over Minnesota big time. And
Emmer
see that too.
Yeah, Emmer was Trump's campaign manager in Minnesota,
which is just absolutely disturbing. It's like, no.
Yeah, let's play some more.
All right.
They come to D.C., you go have lunch with them. I don't want to condone what Israel's doing. 1% of the civilian population of Gaza is no longer breathing air, no longer on this planet. If 1% of the U.S. civilian population were eliminated, that would be 1,000 9/11s. And I don't think we should be a party to that.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Iran, the reality is they don't have a missile that can reach the United States. They're not near to getting a missile that can reach the United States.
If we're going to lead, we should lead, and we should have good relations with every country. And we should conduct ourselves in a manner that sends a signal to the rest of the world that we're not tyrants.
I want everybody to stop dying.
I think I represent part of the coalition that elected President Trump. We were tired of endless wars in the Middle East and tired of wars in Eastern Europe. And we were promised that we would put our veterans, our immigration policies, and our infrastructure first.
I don't need the job. We're self-sustaining. I help my neighbors, and my neighbors help me. And that's what enables me to go to Washington, D.C. and say, you don't have anything over on me. Like, you could literally take everything I've got and I can create it again. You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank. I don't know why it should be politically painful to be transparent.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
This is not going away. Congress, a co-equal branch with the president, should demand the release of everything that they have regarding the Epstein files.
Can we pause it real quick?
Files for years.
I just want to kind of drive home a point, and if I'm sure people remember that, but Thomas Massie recently, within the last year, lost his wife, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That you're looking at a man right here, that a man who has absolutely nothing left to lose, and that's what he's talking about. This is what's actually driving him at this moment. This is somebody who will not compromise because there is nothing left that anybody can possibly take from him.
He has children.
But it's not the same.
I understand it's not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's doing that for his children to have a better world.
Right.
That's why I'm involved in politics, because I hate it. I hate politics. I don't want to be involved in politics.
Same, ditto. Absolutely.
I want to leave my children a better world, right?
Yeah. But once you lose, like, just a part of like what makes you who you are, like the kind that, just makes life worth living, and that's been taken away from him. There's absolutely nothing they can offer him at this point that's going to change him from the course that he's currently on.
Yeah, he is living the Thomas Paine quote that we just put on our State Fair shirts. I prefer peace, but if trouble must come, let it come in my time so that my children can live in peace.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to fight this war, no matter what.
I am kind of curious, though. He did flip on the big, beautiful bill at the end, and I'm curious why. I haven't found anything on that. Y'all know anything about that?
No, I don't.
Mm-mm.
I think I did at one point, but I think I've forgotten. I think he was saying that it does technically cut current spending, but it balloons debt in the future. But I don't recall why that would have been an acceptable trade-off for him. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, he voted yes on accident because of a confusion of procedural rules, and then he went to no, and then overnight, Trump and the GOP, maybe he flipped. It was a very thin margin that got that passed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of curious. Maybe the video will cover it. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and start again.
Okay.
Yep.
And now we're being told it's a hoax.
Look, the whole thing is a hoax. It's put out by the Democrats.
If it's a hoax, president's own children fell for the hoax, vice president fell for the hoax, Kash Patel fell for the hoax. I don't think it's a hoax.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein.
This transcends all other issues. And right now, anybody who wants to subvert or keep the Epstein files secret, they are on the wrong side.
They're also telling on
The American people deserve this, regardless of what the political ramifications are for the speaker. Politicians do not like conflict. They'd like to tell both sides that they're on their side. Democrats want to grow the welfare state, and Republicans want to grow the military-industrial complex. People are becoming despondent, apathetic. Why would they go vote if they gave us the House, the Senate, and the White House, and the transparency and justice they were promised doesn't happen? Like, it's immoral, but even if you're okay with the amorality or immorality of it, it's short-sighted, because eventually it'll catch up with us.
So do any of the dumbos you work with understand that? What he promised us, which we would put America first.
No, I don't think Thomas Massie understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no.
Did it change your views at all?
No.
Well, that was a lot shorter than I thought it would be.
Though, like with that, the amount that, like with as hard hitting as it was and intense as it was the whole time, I'm not sure I could have taken much of it.
This has been a Dissident Media production.
This is good, though, to get people's like emotions invested into the current situations.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see now where things go with the Epstein files. I know there's still, gosh, I wish I knew more of the specifics about what's going on, but there's some sort of a committee looking into it. They're researching basically anything the DOD is willing to give them on the Epstein files. But that's kind of what forced Massie's hand on introducing this new legislation, is because, well, the DOD, if they're complicit, they're not going to give that committee everything they need in order to prosecute all the villains. And so Massie says, no, we're not going to trust a government agency to investigate themselves for the umpteenth time, only to come out and say, nope, we found no wrongdoing. So that can't happen anymore. And Massie said as much at the press conference this morning. He said, another thing that the Republicans are now trying to do is Republicans are trying to push through a bill now that basically says Oh yeah, you know that committee that's investigating the Epstein files that the DOD is feeding documents to? Well, this bill is actually just a resolution to encourage them to continue to do that. And so he's like, well, no, that's not good enough. That's a placebo. You're giving the American citizens a placebo to trick them into thinking that something is actually happening when it's not. Massie's legislation is the real deal. So we'll see. It sounds like he has more than half of the signatures required. It sounded like I think he had mentioned in the press conference that he only needs 2 more Republicans to flip. So that's really interesting as well. I don't know who that will be.
Yeah, it was. We were talking about this earlier, but we've had some really interesting people sign on this. We've got 4 Republicans, and then the rest are all Democrats.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, 4 Republicans. So just need 2 more.
So it'll be interesting for me to see what happens in the next 6 months. Because by then we will be into the next year. And Massie's seat is up for re-election next time or not?
I believe so.
Okay, so then we'll be at the beginning of the election season.
I believe in the video it said that they spent $1.8 million on consultants trying to get him out of his seat. It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think the result of what happens with this will truly be like a good, representation of kind of how America views, like this feud between Massie and Trump, and who really is like where America stands on all of it. They stand behind Trump. If he loses and he gets out of this seat and Trump gets his way, that's going to be a major blow to all of this, right? But then if Massie keeps his seat and everything that they throw at him fails, that will be an indication that people are ready for whatever is next, I think. So we'll be watching this particularly closely, but I mean, we have our own races in Minnesota, but I think this will be kind of at the forefront of what happens next.
I think it'll also set the tone for J.D. Vance running, because J.D. Vance, as Trump's VP, will now have to answer for Trump not releasing the files, or at least not taking it seriously. And although I don't necessarily see Thomas Massie and J.D. Vance being adversarial with each other, there's going to have to be some headbutting to clear that air, I think.
Yeah, well, and I don't know how else to say this really, but J.D. Vance kind of has Trump's stink on him at this point.
Yeah.
And if he ever wants to have the rest of his political career, if he doesn't want this to be finished, if he wants to keep on going, he's got to figure out how to distance himself and be his own person. Because right now he's not. Right now he's just 100% associated with Trump.
To be honest, though, like based on the conspiracy theories I've heard about J.D. Vance and his relationship with Peter Thiel, I don't think J.D. Vance can ever be like his own person.
No, I don't. I actually agree.
Yeah,
I think he's done.
I mean, have we really had any SPs? I mean, we've had Biden.
I'm not sure it's a good example because Biden was like just so propped up, like they had people that were like paving the way. I mean, he didn't even like make it through, like the proper endorsement and all that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah,
that wasn't the people speaking.
No, that was the DNC, and that's what the DNC and the RNC do, right? They select who they want, and the DNC with their supermajority or their super delegates, that's what it is. They're super delegates. They're not even hiding the fact that they are handpicking people, and with the Harris pick, I mean, I've tabled at events and gone over and talked to the Democrats, especially the younger Democrats. And if you get them away from their party and you talk to them about it, they were absolutely angry
Mm-hmm.
the way that the DNC, especially how they were trying to save democracy, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing democratic about, handpicking your candidate and taking, pretty much deleting the primaries.
Yep.
The Republicans, on the other hand, they're a little more subtle. They handpick people by, using their networking. Like if you want to run as a Republican, you have to, get the hand wave or the approval, and then you get, invited to the dinners with donors, and you get, the contacts and networking and all the data that you use, and you get connections. Like whether signs or phone calls and stuff like that. It's a racket, right? It's totally a racket.
And honestly, the best thing that could happen for us as a party, as a whole, is for them to just carry on like this as normal. And because I truly believe that there are, like we are at the beginning of a political shift, and that this has been going on. I think it started during COVID when people really started to be like, oh, well, I'm not allowed to go to work. I'm not allowed to do certain things, and how easy it was for the government just to flip that on and off. But then you have kids that grew up in that time period, of seeing like schools shut down, of seeing like all of these things happening and their lives completely disrupted. That they're still not old enough to be able to actually get involved politically and have a say. I mean, we do see some young kids that like at a young age are just like, oh, this is what I want to do. We have those in our party here in Minnesota. They're younger on the age spectrum, but for the most part, this is what people do in their late 30s, 40s, 50s is when you really start to have time, because you're a little more secure in your own life, job, whatever it is. But those impressionable years were just marked by authoritarian regimes, which both right and left, they experienced it both under both of them. That when you push people too hard, it's a natural instinct to rebel, and that I'm hoping that they'll just continue that, because you don't see a lot of like, so the age range of kids that were in high school, they just graduated high school in 22 and 23. So I mean, that was only a couple of years ago. But give them 20 years from now, and they'll be the ones setting and paving the way next.
I'm a little. I would love for that to be my interpretation, but I'm kind of worried that a bunch of kids grew up during the COVID lockdowns thinking that that's what normal looked like, and that whenever something bad happens, it's normal for the government to say, okay, you're not allowed to go get groceries this week.
Well, that's what I mean, is that I think that there's this natural human instinct when somebody tells you you're not allowed to do something.
Yeah, I wish that more than 10% of the population actually felt that drive.
Well, maybe I'm just surrounded by that many people.
Well, I mean, you are homeschooling.
I was going to say that's extremely relatable. Yeah. You tell me I'm not allowed to do something. Well, now that's the thing I want to do. I didn't want to do it before. I had no idea that it was something I could do before. And now that's all I wanted. Exactly.
Meanwhile, I'm over here living in like a rich suburb, and I'm like, oh no, everybody here was like, oh, that's just the way of things. We go get our papers stamped that say that we're the exception, and that's okay because we're rich.
Yeah, but
it's okay for the government to prevent people from going grocery shopping, but not me, because my job's important because I'm a banker.
Okay, so just to be fair, I think it's less normal to live in the rich neighborhood than it is to be surrounded by a whole bunch of just common folk.
Oh yeah, no, there is something to say about that, but population density wise, there are about as many people in each location.
In Texas, we had lockdowns, right? And we did the 2-week lockdown that extended, and they had all kinds of rules and regulations. But you talk to Republicans, it was other states, right? In Texas, if you go talk to a Texas Republican, they forgot that
you guys did it too.
And that we called Abbott. He was lockdown Abbott, right? And part of that was because at the end of our lockdowns, it was the county judge that was keeping us lockdown, and Abbott was fighting against it, right? He flipped that into his way of being a hero in some people's eyes, and they forgot about it. They forgot what we did to our kids. I mean, my wife's a teacher, and she's interacting with these kids that have were affected by lockdown, and they are socially different. They are a different breed. Their behaviors are different. They missed out on a lot of opportunities. I mean, you look at the seniors that went through lockdown. I mean, they missed their senior year, right? Like, some people, some places do senior trips. They didn't do prom. They didn't do, all these things that are typical for seniors. And I'm not saying everybody should do those things, right? I'm a libertarian. You do your own thing, but that opportunity was stolen from them, right? And it changed their development. And we're going to see those effects, especially with the COVID babies, right? That were like in the really developmentally important years of their lives.
And they just weren't allowed to see faces other than their own mothers because everybody was ordered to wear masks.
Yes, humans are social creatures. I mean, a lot of myself included, we're introverts, but there is some need for human interaction. I mean, we see that in jails that do
solitary confinement.
It will drive you insane, and we're going to see the impacts. I don't know what they're going to be. Like I said, I'm not a licensed psychologist, but I don't know that they're going to be pro or against liberty, but we'll see.
Well, it's anytime you create there's a shift.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know which direction it's going to go next. All you know is that there is a shift coming, or it's happening, or but where it actually ends up landing is truly up to the people who are either predicted that it was coming and are on the ground at the time, or just happen to be there and are very adaptable to their set of circumstances, Yeah, so what the result will be, who knows?
Along those lines, I think it's something that we do have to watch out for. I think about all the people that we interacted with at our state fair booth this year, and there were many young people identifying as socialists. And so that concerns me as well. And there was this one that Rebecca and I were talking to this last. He was an interesting person. That's the nicest way I can put it. But anyways, one of the things that I had told him was, socialists and libertarians, we're not so different because we both see the same problems. Obviously, our solutions are complete opposites, but in general, I think, we all see the same problems. And so we don't necessarily need to convince all the young people what the problem is. I think they see it. They're not dumb. They just need to be guided, back in the correct direction, I think.
Well, a lot of people have been programmed to believe that the government is the answer. And so, we have a significant amount of deprogramming to do. And I did interact with people that, started out, have the socialist lean. And really it came down to this, if we want, this, we see the problem for what it is, and we want this type of solution, or we want to have access to, fill in the blank, whatever it is at the end. Is the method getting there more important, or is the end result of whatever that was that you wanted more important? Because if I can offer you something through a means of government that is less restrictive and more efficient, why wouldn't we automatically put that at least in the running to be considered as an option?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize what real socialism is either. They have this, fluffy cloud vision of it, what they're told by, the people on social media. the reality is that a lot of the systems we have now are socialistic. Like, it's literally in the name, Social Security, right?
Yes.
And like, you tell a Republican that Social Security is socialism, they just freak out.
Oh, you know what's even better? When you tell them that police are a social program, they love that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one thing I deeply enjoy is talking to the politically uninitiated about the fact that it is illegal for a postal service to compete with the U.S. Post Office. You can't deliver letters to people's doors. That's illegal. It's like, what? No, that doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah, they should read Lysander Spooner. He was a character. I like to point people to him when they're like, well, the Constitution supported slavery. I'm like, go read Lysander Spooner, right? And he wrote an entire book on why it's not.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people that quote the Constitution haven't actually read the Constitution.
Or misquote it, especially when it comes to the Second Amendment. They're always misquoting that one.
Well, and it's because they're just regurgitating what they've been told. They haven't actually taken the time to figure it out for themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just like they always, their biggest hang up is always well regulated. It's like, well, okay, yes, that language is there, but let's try to consider, what does that actually mean, regulated?
Well, regulated back then was like dress right dressed and left foot first, and then like, because they were
a well-regulated clock is oiled and all the gears work properly.
Exactly. It just means to make normal and efficient.
Right. They were coming out of the Revolutionary War, which their militia had not been well regulated, because they were just this ragtag group of people all coming together. There was no uniformity. There was no cohesion. There's no camaraderie. I mean, oftentimes these were people coming from different communities that actually didn't like each other naturally, like the North and the South. Like, there was a deep-seated hatred between the South and Yankees even before the Revolutionary War. And so then they come in, and that was actually the pivotal, like, what happened at Valley Forge was, even though that was such an awful, terrible winter, and they lost a lot of people, and their living conditions were horrid, and they didn't have enough resources, and morale was insanely low. That winter, they got together, and they had a guy that knew how to pull people together and wrote down the regulations and then taught it to them, so that they came out of that winter being a cohesive fighting unit. And so when they're talking about a well-regulated militia, they are meaning an army that knows how to work together. Like, that's literally what that means. But then again, it's just, people are almost fully ignorant of our own history and hardship in general. They're just, they don't, I mean, we would have less socialists if more socialists were actually starving, So.
And sorry to double back, but I just think that it's particularly amusing because militia has a distinct technical definition in that document as a term of art, and it is all males between the ages of 16 and 60 or something like that.
Oh wow!
I am the militia.
Yeah,
3/4 of this call is the militia. It is.
Sorry, Rebecca.
With the exception of anyone who is in the employ of the federal government, actually.
Wait a second. I don't know. Are you? I know Nick and Joe, you're not, but am I the only veteran actually, like, in this call?
Yes. The only non-militia member is the only veteran.
Well, I mean, the militia is not the armed forces, right? It is of the people.
It's just the citizenry. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's fully illegal to be a part of a militia in Minnesota.
In Minnesota, it is. Yeah.
Well, in most of the country, they have laws against militias.
I mean, our the founding fathers warned us against standing armies, not against militia.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So after how many generations with a standing army, guess which one's illegal? It ain't the standing army.
Right.
It's the people. We're illegal.
Yes.
I suspect that probably changed post Civil War. is when the push for militias became illegal.
Sure, I could see that.
I don't know. It might have been during the Whiskey Rebellion. Are y'all familiar with that?
Let's see what ChatGPT has to say. What kind of lies are I going to tell me? Let's see. When did militias start to be banned in the U.S.?
Oh, trusting Google.
Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 restricted the use of military or federalizing of militias. So that could be described as an anti-militia law, but that's not technically what it means.
There's the Militia Act of 1903 formally split militias into two categories: organized militia and unorganized.
Oh, yes.
So that was probably the start of it.
So I don't know when it made it into the Minnesota Constitution, but Minnesota became a state in 1858. I suspect it was probably sometime after that. And that because up until, I mean, even during the Civil War, Minnesota was fighting wars with Native Americans. So Minnesota did take part in the Civil War, but not much because there were so many battles with Native Americans happening up here already.
Oh, so okay. So ChatGPT is now also saying after political violence, for example, labor unrest and Klan activity, many states adopted anti-paramilitary laws. So that would be interesting if it was because of like the Ku Klux Klan people terrorizing towns and folk.
Yeah. Though I don't think that was a real big problem in Minnesota compared to most other states.
Probably not. That's true. Yeah.
No, but it would have been a means for like squashing Native American rebellions.
Oh, sure.
They were not allowed to get organized and fight back. Then it would have just, you know what I mean? Because like at the same time that the Civil War was happening, they were what was it? The largest execution, the most people executed ever at one time happened under Lincoln in Minnesota during the Civil War.
The U.S. Dakota War of 1862.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, I think we're off topic. I think that might mean we're done.
Yeah.
So,
perhaps.
That's how it goes.
This was great, though. We'd love to collaborate more often if that's something that you guys are down with.
I'm gonna end the stream here.
Sure.